Hello, my name is Ditney Ulai, and as an African myself, I find that learning about the history of Africa, especially during times where they were seeking independence, they were fighting for freedom from these colonial powers, that it honestly is a testament to the resilience of my people. I definitely can say it wasn't easy for many of the African colonies to navigate through decolonization, and it definitely wasn't pretty. It's evident when we look at the Congo independence movement from 1959 to 1960, leading into the Congo crisis. Now, Belgium Congo, known now as the Democratic Republic of Congo, was ruled by the Belgian regime. For 80 years, King Leopold had exploited the Congolese people. During the colonialism period in Africa, Congo produced 9% of the world's copper, 49% of cobalt, and 69%, I'm telling you, 69% of the world's industrial diamonds. You can definitely say at that time, Congo was the wealthiest colony. And that honestly is due to millions and millions and millions of Congolese people, the lives of Congolese people. They were forced to work to death. They were subject to brutality. They were put down as second-class citizens in their own country. And racial segregation was rampant in the social, economic, and political spheres of their society. By 1950s, okay, a lot of African colonies in South America, were like, hey, we need our independence. There was an energy within the African people that were seeking to be their own nation and not just for the people and with the people. And that definitely during like 1959, in Congo, there was a lot of nationalist riots. People rioting and being like, hey, we need independence from Belgium. Now there was Congolese elites, right? Politicians, and they were gaining political influence, support from the people. They were the voice of the people in the level with the Belgium officials, and especially after World War II, a lot of the European nations, they didn't have the money, they didn't have the funds to look after all these colonies. And the United States definitely put pressure on Belgium, being like, hey, you need to let go of this colony and let them have, ideals of self-determination and independence. So, 1959, there's a lot of riots. There's shifts in the political sphere, especially trying to start voting, and Belgium officials not recognizing that the Congo politicians have some power, so they were starting to win elections and all that stuff. And June 30th, 1960, Congo achieves independence. The king at that time, he comes down to Congo, he's like, hey, y'all are free. But one thing I want to talk about and end this talk is a man named Patrice Lumumba. He became the prime minister at the age of 34. He became the prime minister. And there was an independence conference, right? And the king of Belgium is like, hey, to the Congolese public that, romanticizing what Belgium had done for the people, being like, hey, we civilized you guys, and like, oh, it was such a time of peace. And they're like, what? And Patrice Lumumba, after he gives this independence speech that throughout Africa is remembered, and he tells the people, and he speaks to the people, and he says, do not forget the exploitation and the crimes that this regime has done to us. Don't forget the struggles that we have gone through. And he has a line, and he's like, if you can name yourself as Congolese, you need to remember that we got this freedom from fighting. And that is why we win. That's why we won. It's through our fight. And, the Belgium officials were not happy about this kind of talk. He was basically like, let's not forget the atrocities that you guys pulled for years. And sadly, after that, 10 days later, after they got independence in 1960, June 30th, 10 days later, it led to the Congo crisis. Patrice Lumumba was assassinated. There was a new president of the continent, and there was years of chaos. But I do want to reiterate that there was these type of movements, of independence movements, really empowered the people, and I hope that we have more conversations about, the success of African colonies and what we can learn from them. And that's it. Thank you.